But let's get on the phone lines now and speak to a public health analyst on this particular development. Samuel Arthur has joined me. Mr. Arthur, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you for having me, Joshua.
I hope you're doing well.
Very well, my brother.
Great. But for those of our brothers and sisters who have to depend on tuberculosis medication and all of that, it doesn't look like good news for them, because as it stands now, we have a situation where government, after the fanfare to clear some containers, like you heard in the sound earlier, has gone back to bed. And so there is nothing actually happening. And now we are being threatened by the Global Fund. Exactly how does all of this come to you as a health expert?
Great. Good evening to your cherished listeners, and thank you, Joshua, for having me. I guess this is a subject I'm quite emotional about. I want to give you a little background to why I think we are where we are now. And if we don't go back to document assessment that we have done and documented, which is supposed to guide the CCM, to help it to be very functional, to help it to work with all the pillars, transparency, fairness, taking out conflict of interest, or dealing and managing it such that accountability, involving community people, and bringing the people who are marginalized all on the table. The CCM is supposed to be everybody's face. Now, apparently, the kind of CCM we have, and I spoke about it before I left the scene, but I'm a trained observer by the by the Global Fund, and I came back in country, and the idea was to make sure the various pillars we had been trained on, we had an assessment, and that report is with the CCM. Now, the conclusions were that for us to get real accountability and get civil society and all the other players, private sector, communities, and all the groups around, so we can get people to be heard, we can make sure issues are dealt with, we can avoid issues of stockouts, and this funny situation we have, which I'm even struggling to understand. The Minister for Health is the chair of the CCM. I may be wrong, but before I left the scene, and that's the reason why I left the CCM as an observer, because all the other players sat down, and for issues, very petty issues, some personal issues, because most of the players around there also implement Global Fund projects, and it's a case of getting, it's something I cannot talk about here. But you see, civil society and the other players are supposed to be the watchdog on the implementing agency, which is directly under the ministry, the Ghana Health Service. So if the minister comes to a multi-sectorial sector to come and share, where is our independence to demand what we need to demand? Where can he get pressure for when he chairs and decides what issues comes onto the agenda or not? So it's a failed issue, and I think I blame all the other stakeholders. It's a shame that something we worked on to make sure we got civil society to share that platform or other stakeholders so it could rotate, and then make sure that government always was kept on check. So if we had issues with counterpart funding, if we had issues with stockouts, you think that the Director General of Health can come and speak when the minister is sharing a platform on an issue? It is so, it's a bit murky. Let's go back to the document, and I was one of the authors of that document. Let's go back to the principles. Let government be humble enough to step back. Let that player be a player of a table of all players, so that civil society and all the other aspects can raise their voice and raise it very well, where they have independence and they cannot be sidelined. But if the other people that come with the minister and they are the implementing bodies, which is the Ghana Health Service, where the drugs, the malaria control program, the tuberculosis program, all of them are under the Ghana Health Service. Now, all these program managers come into the meeting where the minister chairs. Who can ask the minister?
So, Mr. Arthur, for you, we are where, right? So we are where we are currently because the independence that is supposed to bring some form of checks and balances and ensure that government is on its toes to deliver in terms of projects like this is absent, and that's why we are seeing what we are seeing now.
It is not entirely absent, but it's limping.
It's limping.
It's limping because the key principles, there are 6 of them I mentioned earlier. You cannot, one is not bigger than the other or more important than the other. What is this? They complement each other, and it's important we operate at the same level and get the same effectiveness.
Right. So,
where other players have allowed this rhythm that was taking us back. And it was like some 10 years back. This used to be when the minister said. And somehow, after one or two reviews, we saw, listen, we need other players to come in here. And when civil society came in, it was wonderful. These stockouts stopped, and these issues of counterpart funding and all that, because surely civil society was in touch with Global Fund all the time. Other players, private sector and others, all of whom around the table. The disease groups and the communities also are there. You cannot come and tell us you will not clear the track. So you see, it's a case of failed principles and not aligning to what is supposed to make us strong. But of course, it's not too late. The ministry has to demonstrate leadership. Now,
are you sure it's not too late, Mr. Arthur? Because the Global Fund has given us till the end of this month, and today is what? The 11th, which means that we have close to about, 20 or 19 days to end the month, and we have to clear. Else, the Global Fund is going to cut us off.
Kodjo, forgive me, I'm not a legal person. But on an issue of essential drugs, we are talking about the life of people here. For tuberculosis, once we put you on the drugs and you begin to, like they say before, it is possible you build resistance. The germs build the resistance. And we may have to probably begin to double your dose or look for other complementary drugs to add up, which is quite burdensome for the body even to carry. Now, that is a risk for whoever is taking the drug. Now, for their families and other people who care around them, the kind of emotional issues, psychological issues, seeing family people waste away just because some people around some table did not take the decisions they had to take. Now, can we appeal to the president? I don't know. Is there any law he can activate? Or is there something within there? I'm looking through the Public Health Act, and if there's anything the president can invoke, clear these duties. This duty is not supposed to come back to Ghanaians. So will we allow 1,000 Ghanaians to die just because of duties we want to take? DRA and whoever other people take. Let's just appeal. I think the media and other people, let's join me. Let's start talking. DRA or whoever, government, let's show leadership. Let's say, when people who are taking ARVs also default, that's quite messy, because then, apart from them beginning to have huge viral loads, some of whom now do not even have detectable anything in there, though they have the virus, and some of whom who have suppressed even the virus somehow, will now begin to build an overload, and once they begin, they're also within our communities. They don't have facts on their head. You cannot tell who is infected or not. So it is a national issue we cannot play with. We just can't play with it. Someone has to act. Now, for me, the Minister for Health, he's a new person there, so I'm careful not to improvise him. He's my friend. I think he's someone I have some respect and trust for, looking at what he has done since he came in now. Will he also want to throw something out as an appeal? Let's direct it to Parliament, to the President. People are dying. People will die if we don't get these back. It will also have a repercussion on our society, because then infection and reinfection will happen. We will build our prevalence will go high. It is not something we can deal with, please.
So for you, now we have a situation where civil society is making the call and saying that, you know what, we can't have these drugs locked up for over a year, as is the case with this particular consignment. So we are going to demonstrate. We are going to call and appeal to the authorities to get this thing done. But for you, is that enough to get some answers?
I'm sure we may have to wait till some people begin to have higher complications, just like it happened within COVID. And then we declare a state of emergency or a lockdown. Let's be serious. Not about you, but for those that have to take the decision. What is civil society waiting for? So where is civil society here? Where is private sector? Where are all the players? Everybody is connected to the business around that table, and it becomes difficult to be very possible. I am not there because I was noisy. That's my nature, because we need to be principled enough to call people to act when they need to act. For me, if the president hears this, somehow, I know Dr. Nsiakari. He's a fine gentleman. He left that office not long enough. He has a higher office. I saw him in one, I think somewhere in the east or the Arabian, he was meeting the Bahrain Prime Minister or somebody, I don't know. he should finish that meeting and come back quickly to plead with us, to help us plead with the president so we can clear these gaps. Listen, let's say that we will owe government these issues and will pay later. Let's save some lives. The president should not forget around the COVID era, he told us the lives we cannot bring back, the economy we can bring back. For the sake of the lives of the people, Mr. President, let's go back to your weather. I know he's an honorable man. When he maybe I'm too little to speak to him, but some of you who can get his ears, let's let him know this cannot go. It will not be too good for his legacy, especially when he has a few months to leave the table.
Very well. Mr. Arthur, thank you so much for engaging with us this evening.
Grateful for your time and grateful for all the work you are doing for Ghana.
Thank you too. That's Samuel Arthur. He's a public health analyst speaking to us on this rather worrying development, because we also do know that the members of the coalition of CSOs in HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria have served notice to picket on the 25th of June in protest of government's delay in clearing the containers.